First on, we have public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, I'll start off with public comment. Good morning, board. Just want to start off with, for our Civic Events Advisory Board, Mr. Billy Nahara, who had been sitting on our board since 2015. His term has expired. Billy Nahara will definitely be missed. He was one of our big pushers for anything that we needed for civic events, and his time on the board, I definitely will do something next month for him.
We have a plaque or something that we can...
Next month, we'll be presenting him as well with a few others plaques, and then we'll take it from there. But I'll save my speech for Billy at that present time. But of course, unfortunately, his term has expired, and we have to move forward. But in that regards, we're going to be welcoming Miss Lori. Please say the last name one more time. DeCello. Ms. Lori DeCello will be now sitting on our board. We're happy to have you being involved with our Civic Events Board. Anything that you need from any of us, we'll definitely walk you through, and we welcome you to our board. Also, Mr. Don Maynard, who was our financial analyst, he is retired on December 31st, 2022. Don had been with us since 2008. Unfortunately, Don had to go ahead and retire. He's one of them that I've been knowing since 2008, before I was a civic events manager. Was always helpful. Was an awesome person to work with, and he'll dearly be missed with civic events. And also Fernando Mendez, he actually retired as well. He was an event service rep. He would help us on the floor with many different jobs. He was one of those that would help us with any type of woodwork needs, any type of building needs. He was always around. He's another one that will be missed from us. He retired, they both retired December 31st.
He helped me a lot. I remember Fernando.
Yes, Fernando. And, you know, we're currently looking to replace Fernando, and we're working to replace Don Maynard as well.
Okay, well, welcome to Lori. Thank you. It's nice to have you here. And so do we have any public comment, or are we ready to go to the consent agenda?
We can move forward. Do you have anything to say, Ms. Lori? I know you come from the Parks and Rec Board, so you do already have experience on the boards. But just go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
Okay. I'm Lori DeCello, and as he said, I was on the Parks and Recreation Board. I was appointed by Harry Thomas, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, and like Sid said, if there's anything you need, just ask any of us, and we'll do what we can.
I've already sent questions to him, so he already...
My email's pretty full.
Well, good. Okay, and moving forward, do we have a nomination to, an approval of the minutes from November 17th?
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as is.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, I think no one's opposed then. Okay, so regular agenda, our presentation of the monthly financial report and event calendar.
Okay, so if you can see that in your package, you have the Civic Events Fund Balance 410. There's $1,300,000 sitting in the fund balance as well. Restricted for facility use fees, we have about approximately $18,147 that's in that, and that's as of December 31st, 2022. Calendar-wise, in December, we've had 48 total bookings. Of course, it's a little low, and that's pretty much due as well to the convention center being under renovation. But at the convention center, we did have 3 bookings, 4 for the Coliseum, 0 at the River Stage. El Paseo had 8, Pecan Creek Pavilion had 9, our East Mess had 20 bookings, and Farmers Market had 4. In January, the bookings have been 22 total bookings, with the convention center having 4, which is starting off this weekend. Coliseum has 9. River Stage El Paseo has 0. Pecan Creek Pavilion has 2. East Mez has 4. Farmers Market had 1, and Indoor Arena had 2.
Are these numbers up from last year, hopefully?
Well, they're not up from last year because we're down with the convention center right now. With no bookings at the convention center due to the renovations, those numbers are sitting a little bit low. But that's just due to what we're going through at the present moment.
Hey, Sid, can you remind me, the 146, the beginning balance on your restricted facility use, down to 18? What did we, remind me what we did with that?
So with our the fund balance are which part? The restricted for facility use fees? The restricted for facility use fees, the money that was in that account had been exhausted due to the projects that we were putting forth and stuff. So we put those funds towards our convention center renovations.
Any other questions? Okay, so next we have discussion of the Bly Arena.
Okay, so this discussion, we did have this discussion. We started it off in the previous month about a long-term rental proposal for the Bly Arena. The Bly Arena is located at 4602 Quero Street. We call it the Red Barn. In the previous meeting, we did discuss rates, the fees, and the revenue from the Bly Arena. That was on November 17th. The ASU Rodeo Program and Wade Scavassa did show interest in a long-term rental for the Bly Arena with the city of San Angelo. At that board meeting, we did make a recommendation to look into long-term rental options for the Bly Arena. We wanted to bring this back so we can allow ASU Rodeo Program to discuss what their future potentials would be for the Bly Arena, and also Wade Scavassa to be able to discuss even further for his. So I wanted to give them a chance to have that opportunity with the board to be able to talk about these things. So we're going to go ahead and start with ASU Rodeo Program. Allow them to come to the mic. Mr. Don Topliff will be speaking on behalf of ASU, and we will take it from there.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Don Topliff, and I'm the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs at Angelo State University. I want to say that I really appreciate the opportunity to come before this board and talk about ASU's desire to explore a long-term lease with the Bly Arena from the city of San Angelo with the intent of initiating a rodeo program at ASU. We all know that rodeo is an extremely important part to this region, and we believe that the timing is right to initiate a program to attract students from the surrounding region and beyond that would attend ASU and represent the university in the National Intercollegiate Rodeo Association events in the Southwest region. We would anticipate the Bly Arena would provide a practice venue for those students, as well as a facility on which they would board their horses, and as well we would have livestock used for practice that would be housed on the premises. Now, these students would benefit the university, obviously, from the standpoint of enrollment, but they would be a boon to the city as well. These students would purchase feed for their horses, bedding equipment. We would have feed for other livestock, and students would rent housing in the community, buy groceries, buy food, purchase fuel for their vehicles, which, if you don't know, the vehicles that they drive burn a lot of fuel, so that would be an important thing. The university would intend to expend a significant amount of money over time in restoring the Bly Arena and the surrounding property to a level that improves its appearance. We think that's necessary because of its proximity to the Coliseum, the Foster Coliseum, and also the Spur Arena. So we're asking this board to approve the university to create a detailed plan to take before the city council to initiate a long-term lease. And with that, I've provided you the same information. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
The other gentleman that's also interested had mentioned that they would be willing to share
is that something that, oh, sorry, that you would be willing to also do?
Yeah, certainly. We know that there are a significant number of community-led events that occur there. It would not be our intent to exclude those. So we would be happy to help host those as well.
So it would still be available to the public for rental?
For rental, yes, ma'am. It would not be available just for people to show up. Obviously, that
No.
creates some liability issues that we would need to address. But yes, for public rental, yes, it would still be available for that.
How soon would you be willing to, or how soon would this program with ASU start?
So we anticipate starting the rodeo program this fall, so we would want to be able to create that lease and take possession fairly soon. We've done a fairly detailed tour of the facility, so we know kind of what we're dealing with in terms of getting the facility into shape where we would be able to have students there and hold practices. We've met with the employees of the city and talked about what is there in terms of utilities, water, so on and so forth. So we're pretty well ready to take it over and get moving.
It says here that you're willing to invest a significant amount of money over a period of time. Do you have like a 5, 10, I mean, what sort of time frame are we looking at?
We've developed a rough 3-year plan. Now, exactly what that amount of money is, I couldn't tell you at this time. I can tell you it is in the millions.
So it would be done in a fairly timely manner.
Yes, ma'am. We think that we're looking at probably a 3 to 4 year horizon to get everything done that we would want to do.
Okay.
I think one thing to note, you had said, was the availability when not being occupied by Angelo State to share some of that availability with other community partners. I know Angelo State is huge on community involvement and having those partners, so that is a good thing to note, that you guys would be willing to work with. You know, we're probably going to hear another presentation, so possibly integrating both or, you know, coming up with some kind of plan, but I think that is a great thing to note. Appreciate that.
And I don't know how familiar you are, but there are some serious structural issues with the restrooms, the concession stand. There are a lot of things that are going to have to be addressed, and we're prepared to do exactly that, to bring that facility up to a level that the community can be proud of.
So you would man the concession stands yourself, or how does that work?
Well, I don't know. We haven't gotten that far in a detailed plan.
Okay.
But I know that in the current state, they're just not, I don't think you can occupy them. I know the restrooms can't be occupied. There are ADA issues, obviously, with the facility that'll have to be addressed. So we're pretty well aware of kind of what we're stepping into.
So I've got a question. This may be for Sid, but it is occupied currently by the stock show, two months of the year. Can you explain that and maybe how that would affect this partnership?
I believe it's just 1 month that they use it for. Excuse me. That would have to, I believe ASU rodeo program and stock show would be able to come to some type of terms to be able to, occupy that space during that time. We would be out the middle of it, I believe, but I think they would be able to operate on both sides and still allow the rodeo to do what they normally do at that facility as well during rodeo season.
More or less, I guess I was trying to get time frame to then ask Dr. Topliff if that would be an issue moving forward.
I don't think it's it's an insurmountable issue. It's my understanding in talking to the city personnel that there is actually a meter there that contestants that are here for the rodeo can hook their RVs up to. Obviously, that's going to stay in place. But, we view the partnership with ASU is something that will be very symbiotic with the rodeo. Justin and I are great friends. I know him well. I was captain of the rodeo team at Kansas State University. I was in the PRCA for several years, and so I kind of know what I'm talking about.
It sounds like you have great plans.
We
I
think
like
it's a
that.
solid plan. We really do. Any other questions? Well, again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of us.
We appreciate you coming and talking to us.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else?
So I'm going to allow Mr. Wade Scavasso to come up here and speak. Although he did speak last month as well, we're going to let him come up here and speak to you all too again.
My name's Wade Scavazo. We did get a chance to visit with ASU. Haven't got to visit with Dr. How do you say your name? I haven't had a chance to visit with him personally yet, but we did get to visit with Cooper, I believe, and kind of had an understanding of what it was and what they were expecting and what we were planning on doing. And it sounds like we can probably work together very much so. As he stated, there is lots of upkeep and stuff at the facility that needs to be done that has long been overlooked. And I look forward to hoping that we can work together, and if there's anything we can do to do that. As soon as this is over, I'm hoping to get to visit with him for just a minute. But if something were to happen and they decided to change their mind, or if it falls back further and further, we would definitely absolutely love the chance to do it. Like I said, especially right now this time of year, the days are short. We're trying to, not everybody has the lights and stuff. In fact, we have it rented right now for a clinic this weekend, and we're doing what we can to try and get ready for it. I really don't know what to say from the last time I stood up here. If y'all have any questions.
I do. I'm sorry. I missed
Okay.
the last meeting. So what organization are you representing?
Just a concerned parent, I guess. My daughters both rodeo, and then we have a good friend he's actually my wife's family that we rodeo with, and so we do junior high and high school rodeo both. And then, as I told the board last time, we just got back from rodeo over in Stephenville, where they had the Tarleton rodeo, and it was a very large deal. There's lots of people that come into it, and sorry.
You're good.
So that was our whole plan, is we wanted to start more than anything do a practice on Monday through Friday, not necessarily every day, obviously, but 2 or 3 times a week, having practice for breakaway ropings, barrel racing, team roping, and more so centered towards the youngers, the junior high and high school students, because they obviously don't have access to an indoor arena that's got lights and stuff. And this time of year, it's really hard with football, basketball, volleyball. My daughter does all of it and then some, and so we're running like madmen trying to get everything done at the same time, and that was our big push behind trying to do that. And when we first stepped up, we didn't realize that ASU was looking into it. And then we would love to see it, because when I was growing up, that facility had something going on nearly every weekend. There was a team roping or a calf roping or a rough stock. There was something going on in that building every weekend just about. And that's what we were wanting, not necessarily to that stance, but to have team ropings, have breakaway rope. Breakaway is a sport that's coming up really big and really strong through the youth and all the way up into the PRCA. And that's something that we have all girls, so we're chasing a rodeo somewhere nearly every weekend. And that was our big push, was to have a spot that was more centralized. They live in Christoval, we live in Water Valley, and we have friends in El Dorado, Sonora. We have friends coming in this weekend for this clinic. They're coming from Lubbock, up north of Lubbock. They're coming from all over the state.
You just need a central place for,
Central place that we can all meet up, that we can
Sure.
practice, and then, like I said, we would love to see, because there's not a whole lot of, if you go East Texas, you can find a jackpot breakaway roping almost any day of the week, anywhere. And that, for some reason, there's a line about Weatherford or so that they don't come this way. And that was one of the facilities that we were really hoping to be able to do something like that, where we could have a breakaway, jackpot breakaway roping, have a jackpot barrel race, have a jackpot team roping, nothing fully big funded or anything, but just something where we could have the ability to practice, have that real life deal. I'm not real sure how y'all are with horses and stuff, but a lot of horses react completely different when they're in a practice pen that's not covered, doesn't have lights, doesn't have 100 fans or 500 fans or however many fans are there. They will act completely different in that practice pen versus when you stick them inside of a barn with lights and tons of people around, and being able to get those horses to different spots where they can see that and have, like I said, the big thing is that it, for some reason, that hasn't came more west, so to speak. It's kind of hung up over on the east side of Texas. And so that was our whole big thing with it. And I feel like we can probably work something. And like I said, if something happens and they decide to go build a brand new facility somewhere, we would absolutely love to step in and take off wherever they were. Or if something happens that they don't, we would love to.
any questions?
I kind of have a comment or a suggestion that the ASU rodeo program may consider taking in younger students at different times to help coordinate some of this as to what you're talking about, that may be, I mean, that's how they do it in some of the other cities where they can take high school students and get them college courses. And this sounds like something that would allow a mix for that, whether Mr. Scavosa starts it or ASU starts it. It sounds like something that could be working together.
I feel like it's something we can definitely work together. You can't really combine them, so to speak, because there's different
Yeah.
levels.
But it would still
But-
be a complement to each other.
But to speak to kind of like what you're saying, if we can get something done, and I hope we can, one way or the other, because both my girls are real young, and they look forward to getting to be around. We have several friends that we rodeoed with last year that they've all graduated and they're all in college now, rodeoing somewhere, and they love to get to practice with them, just get to be with them. You know, they're what do you call them, idols, so to speak. And so that would be something very, very neat, very awesome if we can make that work out.
It sounds like ASU could really benefit from this as far as getting these kids going and then students coming to San Angelo to ASU instead of going across to East Texas. So it sounds like it would be a beneficial partnership.
So based on the information that we were presented from both parties, I'm just not trying to get involved in y'all's conversations, but it sounds to me with the resources that Angelo State has, would you be opposed to them taking the lead on this and then working with them as far as your events come in?
If they'll allow us to work with them, allow us to do figure out some way to make our schedules work out, absolutely, I don't see a problem with that. Obviously, we don't have the funding to do that. I mean, we had full intentions of doing the major upkeeps, like he mentioned, the restrooms is a big thing that really needs to be brought back up 100%. Yeah, I feel like it can work as long as we can work it out, I guess, so to speak.
Because eventually, essentially council is going to make the last vote on this, right?
Right.
Make a recommendation. But we kind of want to have a consensus up here as far as if you two feel as if you guys can work it out, then it just makes it a lot easier to go to council and for them to have all the information.
Right. I mean, we're kind of all just looking at, what can we do, where can we be, it's kind of a lot of ifs and whats and that style, and that's kind of where we're at. I really don't know what else to say on it.
Sorry, did you have some? Sid, is there anything in the ordinance that would not allow a lease and then sublease?
Typically, our leases like that will have a clause in there that does allow for sublease with the city's okay, with the city's written okay.
Trying to check all the boxes before we make any kind of decision to push it up to council. So they have an informed decision to make, but that's all I've got.
Okay. We sure appreciate you coming in and talking to us.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. We ready for number 4?
So I'm asking for a recommendation. Well, let's do public comment.
Okay.
Ask for public comment.
Do we have any public comment?
So I will make one comment. I am employed by the university at Angelo State. I am in an auxiliary department of Angelo State, so I really am not involved with this aspect, but I will recuse myself from this vote. Just letting you guys know.
Do we still have? Oh, yeah.
There's still a quorum. There's 4.
Okay. All right, then do we have a motion to accept ASU's proposal to do long-term rental for the Bly Arena? Okay. Do we have a second? All those in favor? No one opposed? So it's the board's recommendation that we go ahead and present to the city council to do the long-term rental for ASU. And I really hope that they do work out an agreement with Wade.
We'll take that forward to city council and probably present, I'll have to get with ASU to figure out when they'll have their presentation situated, but I'm suspecting probably early March 7th, city council meeting.
All right, moving on to number 4, discussion of the Bill Eiler Senior Memorial River Stage improvements. What do you have
Yes.
for us?
Yes. All right, so we're going to talk about our proposed improvements for the river stage, for the Bill Ayler Senior Memorial River Stage. So on here, you can see that our river stage is located at 16 East Avenue A, located right here. Project summary, here we are. So for our river stage, there's of course some renovations that need to happen with our facility. Our river stage was built in 1987 and has not received any type of renovations. It's just still as original as it was back then. Project is in need of maintenance and renovations. This is an opportunity for us to improve and grow our river stage, as well as the needs for it, which are several needs, which include the backstage facilities need upgrading, storage area, seating, ticketing and entry, bathroom improvements, and also potentially adding a shade area. This is our river stage, the current conditions of it. The only difference on here is that they have green grass. We don't normally get to see it with green grass, so I think Al added that green grass in there with his program. I got to ask him how he did that. This is the east side of the river stage. This is where we have the loading dock. This is where they would load up the speakers and any type of band equipment, everything that needs to come in. Of course, this is just our current condition of it. I'll go through what we would like to improve on in this area. This is also our backstage areas. This is one of the dressing rooms that we do have. This is a smaller dressing room on that same side. We also, if you could look also to the right-hand side, the walls that are right there, those are the back walls that we normally put up. If you see down at the bottom, they have the little line there. That's It's all rusted out. We have an issue every time we're trying to put up these walls for our concerts. It's a pain to be able to have to put them up, take them down, or anything with them. So we need to try to figure out a different type of system to be able to make this a lot easier for our staff. So this is what we're looking at, a proposed plan of our river stage, just the actual staging area. So on A, you can see there's a new production office that we're looking at. So with where A is, A and G, that's actually already there. Thank you. That's already part of our storage area. So for A, we would be adding in a new production office. That would be for promoters to be able to have an area so they can do any type of meetings, finances, just their own private area for the concerts and events. B would be an expanded green room. The green room on that side would be for the larger band or larger group that's going to be coming. We need some extra room for the green room. It's just a little bit tight to where we're at right now. New storage addition, we would definitely need additional storage area. Right now, our storage area is pretty packed with tables, chairs, garbage cans, and any other needs that we do have for the river stage. We're having to store things in our ticket office right now just to get by. So a storage area, an additional storage room is definitely needed. D is the new covered dock. That was the side that I was telling you all about on this side. This would help for our guests whenever they are bringing in the semi-trucks that have to back up. They're able to back up directly to the loading dock and be able to get off all of their equipment in a much safer way. ADA accessible toilets. We do not have any ADA accessibility back on the stage, so that is definitely needed for us. And a new accessible ramp would be in front of the stage, ADA compliant. G, of course, is another new storage area that would be in front of the river stage, which is much needed. And then the H is the existing green room that we do already currently have. That's there, and also on the other side. And then J is just for all the mechanicals.
So you're talking about knocking down the wall between B and H to make one big green room?
Yes, ma'am. We're going to add the addition.
And tell me again what they do in the green room?
Green room is where you're going to hang out before you got to go on the stage, and we put all your catering needs and anything for the band that they need. It's just their area. Most times, most of the bands lately have been staying on their bus until it's about showtime, and then whenever it's time for like the catering side of things, they'll get off the bus and they'll be in that room. And it just depends on who all they have. If they have a band that's 10 plus people, it gets pretty crammed real quick in that room, especially when you put furniture inside of there and tables.
I have a question. Is this renovation in line with what previous renters have either suggested?
Yes, ma'am.
Requested or anything like that?
Yes, it definitely comes from previous promoters that we do have, managers, band members, just different various people. Myself, I was able to throw 8+ concerts at the River Stage, myself being on the promoter side. And so back then it was a little easier. These moving forward and stuff, these are plans that we do need to look more into to be able to have, because it's just not feasible anymore. And when you start not being feasible for some of these bands and things like that, all that does is go back to the promoter. They say what they say, and then we end up not being able to get the promoter back for any other artists because they're too scared to see what the next artist will say about the facility, if so.
And have you done like a re-engineering study to see what best fits where?
Yeah, so we've been working actually with Mr. Al Torres. He's the project manager. He's been doing he does this for the city, so he's been our guru on this plan. We've been working on it probably the last 6 months, I would say, 6 to 8 months. And this is our first time, bringing this forward to everybody. So it still has a long ways to go just to get everything going. These are just what we see that we deem that we need to get done with just the River Stage. And then we have other proposals that we'll be talking about.
And the current level schematic, so it hasn't gotten the construction documents yet. We're just trying to make sure we're going in the direction we want to go. And just for validation, this is Sid's expertise. This is what he's trained in. This is what his experience has been the last 15, 16 years.
Don't make me too old now.
Okay.
All right, so let's look a little bit further into this. All right, so Bill Ayers Senior River Stage proposed renovations. So we're looking at potential interior remodel, the new storage wing as well, expand the terrace seating. The terrace seating is, well, you know, there it is. Oh, okay. So the expanded terrace seating will definitely be something that'll help us out. We're trying to get some new irrigation as well out there so we can keep that grass green and beautified out there. When you look across the river, it's very beautiful with the green grass, and the Neffs area it's taken care of. And then when you look across at our river stage, it's just beat up. So we need to try to have some type of plan in place for irrigation. We're expanding also the existing ticketing as well. The existing ticketing area is about right here. Right now, that ticketing area is just very tight whenever you're talking about entry and exiting at the time. It can get very clustered at that point. So we would need to be able to look at some type of expansion of that area, and also expanding the existing concession stands, which is in that same area. On one side is the concession stands. On the other side, we have our ticket booth. Both areas are very crammed. We would like to actually get some more space for those areas to better feed our customers. Create a new entry plaza as well. That would be in this area too. And then also a new food canopy by the stage, that's over here as well. This would be for our concessionaire, and that would be more for like the VIPs or people that have reserved seating. They would be able to go right there for their bar or any concession needs. And then we would also add the multiple mini concession stands. They have one that's right there, and also another one right here. And those concession stands, again, would be in place so we can be able to give our customers a better experience and make sure the bar and concessions flow a little bit better than where we are right now with them.
At one time, you had talked about making the new entry plaza.
Give me one second. Give me 1 second. Oh, you ready?
Well, hurry up.
All right. So also we discussed the new covered dock, which will go right there on this side over here. And then we also need to upgrade our HVAC that's at the river stage right now. If you ever been back there, it is a swamp. It's just swamp coolers that's back there. And there's no way in summer West Texas heat that those little air conditioners that we have will cool us down. Or cool the bands, promoters, and everybody else. So these are other things that we really need to look into. It's not about the fans that are coming. How are we pleasing the actual promoters and the bandmates and stuff? So this is something that we definitely need to look at. We also need to fix some other drainage issues that we do have at the river stage. And we need to level the entry drive for the buses. So over here for the entry, it's if you ever drove down to the river stage, if you have a low car, it's going to bottom out. Buses that we normally have, trailers. One of my memories that I do have is when Ice Cube did come to the river stage for the first time. The thing that he left with us was his muffler from his bus, and that was due to he could not get his bus down on this down that path. So it's something that we definitely need to look into, and also improving the sidewalks as well. So over here, we're improving some of the sidewalks and making sure that we have some sidewalk areas. And that's for relocating the fence on the west side. And that's just pushing that fence back and is giving us a little bit more space inside of the river stage as well. Right, so now we're at the alternate renovations. So those are things that we do need to have done for our river stage. These are some alternate ideas of things that we could bring forward to City Council and discuss with them. And those additions would be having a new bathroom buildings being added to it. So if you can see on this west side, there's a men's and women's and also a concession stand over here in this area right here. we definitely would like to add that. That would be a major improvement to the river stage. Also adding a new concession stand, a new concession building too as well that's attached to there. Now, what you were discussing right now would be the new main entry and ticketing, which would be off of Avenue A. We would be sharing the plaza with the pool and have an accessible route to the plaza level. And then we would also have the shared pavilion. So this would be the new entrance that we're discussing right here, going up here, and then you would come down and be able to come into the river stage from here. I like this idea of having it this way because when you go to events and how the river stage is, coming down those steps and being able to see the entrance of it is just a different feel for it. And then you can have your merch, your concession stands, everything right there for your customers. Another thing that we're looking at is adding a shade canopy as well. This shade canopy would go actually over our reserved seating guests, or if you want to say VIP or anything like that. This would actually help with our events, and you would be able to get a premium price for your facility fees as well for seating down in that area. Digital signage too as well. We need to have some type of signage to let people know, hey, River Stage, these are the events that we do have coming in, and then, just other information that we can have. It would be great to have some type of signage out there, electronic signage, and it's just to notify people the River Stage is right here, and, these are the events that we have coming up. It's good advertising. All right, let's talk about estimated costs. So when we discussed this at first, we broke this down into a three, I'm not going to use the year, but three-step process for this. So the first process would be for just the expanding the ticketing, concessions, new entry plaza, the canopy, paving and fencing, the digital signage, remodel existing restrooms, new small restroom building. The total for that approximately would be $213,000 for just that area, for just those needs. The second part would be storage and green room addition, new production office, new loading dock and canopy, potentially, and expand hillside seating and new flagstone. And that would be $241,400. Now that canopy that's right there, that's the canopy that would go over the ticketing, the entrance and stuff. This is not the canopy for the slab. Now, here is just the estimated cost for any of the additional needs that we just discussed about. This would be for the new large restroom, concession building, the new bar structures, any other site works, level road for buses, the new sewer lift stations, which you can see is probably the most costly, which would be $1 million. So if we want to do those restroom additions, we would need a lift station, and that's our highest. That's majority of the money right there. And the new shade canopy would be approximately $500,000. Now the shade canopy is only for, it's not rain, doesn't take out the rain. It's just for more of just shade and stuff. If we wanted to look at something that's going to stop it from the rain, it would be definitely a higher price than that. Most of the times I don't believe we need to look into one that's going to be for rain, because most times if it's going to rain, it's going to be canceled, exactly. It's more for the heat and for the shade and stuff. That's basically what that's for. And then an alternate entry cost too as well. The total of that is a little bit over it's not a little bit, $2,727,000 is about the approximate amount for this. So when we look at the total project, we're looking at about $3.1 million. And other River Stage additional costs that we may be looking at is AE fees, contractor profit and overhead, contingency fees for anything else as well, permitting and approvals, and then also the additional annual maintenance costs for all the needs that we're having. So we will have additional costs for irrigation and keeping those things up, and then also the additional annual maintenance equipment and supplies too as well. Now let's talk about why we do need these improvements. These improvements for the River Stage, we have not renovated the River Stage at all. It was built in 1987. We've had some of the greatest artists that have made music and entertained us at our River Stage, from Selena, B.B. King, to all the newer age artists and stuff that we've been having. So, personally, it's time for us to move forward and try to make some renovations happen. San Angelo's also we want to make San Angelo a prime location location for major concerts. This is one of those that if we do make some of these renovations and stuff, one thing about us is that our river stage, you hear from every promoter that it's a jewel that we have that sits right up on the river. It's a beautiful setting. Whenever you have the right temperature, right, everything else is going well for it. It's a beautiful place to be at for a concert. And this will help bring attention to promoters and give our fans overall the better experience and stuff. One of the things that for us is, yeah, we can sell tickets, we can bring these artists in, but what is the fan experience of this? Are they able to get to the merchandise area and be able to see it? Are they able to get concessions and not have to spend 45 minutes in line to be able to get just one beer or a drink or whatever it is that they're looking for? We need to start working on how are we going to give these fans a better experience, because overall, we can bring them the best concerts and everything else, but it's all going to depend on about the fan. If they say, man, we want to come back to your venue, or if we don't want to come back to your venue due to these reasons right here. So it's all about the fan experience for me too. Let's have some questions.
Sid, what exactly is the capacity now? And what would the capacity be after you do all of these?
So I don't believe the capacity of the venue will change too much, and we've never reached what the fire marshal capacity is. A lot of these numbers changed during times of when we went through the COVID times. So we've had approximately about 5,000 people that have been at the river stage at one time. I think the capacity for is a little bit over 6. Yeah, so they tell us that it's 6. For us, 6 is pretty tight because we've been in there for 5,400, and it definitely was, we can't get no more in here, but they're saying we can put 6 in there. So wow. I don't think the capacity of it will change necessarily. It's more of giving that experience to our fans and customers.
Well, it sounds like your renovations are going towards what I would be familiar with. So I'm from Ohio, moved here about 7 years ago, and Blossom Music Center was just outside of the Akron-Cleveland area where I lived, and that was the summer home of the Cleveland Orchestra. It did have a rain-proof canopy over that, but when you walked in, a lot of the concessionaires were there around, and then it had restrooms kind of all in the backside, or what would be close to the swimming pool, according to this, and then concessionaires all around. It's a wonderful experience up there, and you guys could be open way more.
That's what I'm hoping
than
to.
Northeast Ohio.
Our venue should have a list of concerts going on every month. We should.
Yeah.
That venue should have. Now, granted, we have picked up many concerts since becoming Civic events manager, for sure. But there's so much more that could be done at that facility, and other artists that we could host at our venue.
I'm wondering what the capacity, does that limit the artists that would like to come in?
Not necessarily. I don't like to say it like that, because I feel we've had some major concerts and events and stuff, so it does come down to how you ticket it and stuff like that. So premium seating, all of that. I've seen tickets, 200 plus to sit right in the front row, and people pay it at the river stage without a problem. I don't think we have a capacity issue at all. We haven't met that at all. I think with most of the concerts that we have, it's been, the great concerts. We've done about a good 5,000 in that venue, but I don't think it's more of, hey, we need more room, because the promoter's going to bring an artist. That comes to me with routing and being able to travel to San Angelo to be able to get to the next. Some of these artists, we can't pull them in due to routing situations, and flying them in would cost too much and all this other stuff. So it's not, that wouldn't be the issue for that.
What about parking? Any thoughts there as to what we could do for parking?
I'm going to leave that to Al Torres.
Do we have a shuttle maybe that can go around and?
So one of the promoters did do that. He did have a shuttle to where he made an area for like a VIP parking, and then he had a shuttle, and they would bring them to that area and stuff. And I thought that was a cool idea that he actually put together for that. Parking has always been an issue for us, especially for those real busy concerts. I mean, parking can be so far out for a lot of these concerts. People are just looking for a place. That is something that we probably do need to look into, but I don't know how much what land is out there that can be served as a parking area besides what we
Maybe
already
the
have.
shuttle would be
Here.
the way to go.
And I think that would be more of,
You could shuttle from here, because it's really not that far,
Yeah.
if you could use that capacity.
that would be tough, because that would be more staffing and everything else too as well of, putting that together of trying to do that. But that is something that we could possibly look into as well. Like I said, I do like when the promoter does something, to help service that, because he knows, hey, I'm gonna have X thousands amount of people out here, and the lines are going to be long. Let me try to give them this type of service, and it worked for him. It definitely worked for him. Would like to see other promoters be able to do that too as well.
Any other questions?
I don't have any question, but I am really excited about being able to renovate this because it's needed. I had the opportunity to go backstage for the first time just to see everything, and it's well needed. It's needed. So.
And then I know we have some new members that will be on the board, and we haven't done our tours yet. So I do plan to make sure we have some type of tours. We may just set them up in February, and that we can go and visit the River Stage so you can actually walk through with what this is and see what we're looking for from the renovations as well. We'll set that up.
That would be great.
I agree, and thank y'all for all this work, Al and Sid. I mean, this is a lot of work to put all this through. So to actually see the vision and see what it can be is pretty neat. I agree with you. It's pretty amazing. So it's a huge asset to the city. It creates a lot of economic impact. When folks come to town, they stay in hotels. It's hot money coming in, sales tax money. So why not invest in this? So thank you for all your work on that.
No problem. So for this, we're looking for a recommendation. I would like to bring this forward to City Council to present to them in the March 7th meeting as well. I'm going to have a busy March 7th, just letting y'all know. So
I do have one question. Funding. Are we looking at 410/605 or a combination, or are we looking at just 605? What are your thoughts?
So what I'm looking for is just a recommendation, a recommendation that we would like to move forward and have City Council advise us to where the funds would be coming from, if they would like to see this move, the renovations happen.
Look at your fund balance, and it's not enough to cover 3.1.
No, sir. No, sir.
Are there any grant monies available?
I think some are possible, like with the restrooms, maybe with the Health Foundation. They might support some of these items.
And we may be able to fund maybe the first part of it, the one that's $213,000 or something like that, just to show that, hey, we'll fund some of this. But I think for that last part, that's $1 million plus. For those renovations, we will need to figure out how we're going to. City Council will guide us on where the funding for that will come from.
One of your items was a sewage and.
Yeah, the lift station is $1 million.
That's something the water department can help out with.
That's always
I'm just
an
throwing it out
issue.
there. Come on, Al.
That's always an issue.
Al Torres, construction manager for the city. Water Utilities Department is the ones that gave me that number, so. and to explain further, there is a lift station there now, and it handles the swimming pool and the river stage, and it is at capacity. They said we cannot add anything, so any restrooms that we add, I showed a smaller restroom up by the existing restroom, that were going to help with that. But any increase in the restroom facilities would require that lift station to be addressed. And I've been told that basically they will just have to start from scratch and do a bigger, major lift station that would handle that whole facility and the swimming pool area. So they've told me 700,000 to $1 million, to use the $1 million, because that's probably what it would be. But as far as funding, I'll leave that up to them. But the restrooms, any restroom increase wouldn't be able to happen without the lift station, so.
So the restrooms would probably be closer to the last thing that they would be adding.
It's planned for the last
Yeah.
part of the
So
progress.
how much are you going to have to tear up to fix all of this? And how long would it be undone?
Oh, a while. I think a while.
Yeah, that's hard to say. Most of the work on the stage itself is can be kind of done behind the scenes. There is a new addition that's going to be added on the west side. Just a storage building, but that can kind of be handled from the back side, and then all the renovations inside. So it probably shouldn't be a whole lot of downtime. So in other words, if there was a concert that happened while this was going on, they could probably work something out, use the other side, while one side's being done. So it shouldn't be a whole lot of downtime. The rest of the river stage, the grounds, again, try to work on that between concerts, between events. So, it would take months to do the renovations in the building once you get a contractor on board. But again, we can kind of work around events.
I have a question, suggestion for Carl. Carl, can this be done in conjunction with some funding that is desperately needed for that swimming pool?
Yeah. Do you have that rendering? Did you want to talk about that, show that?
Also, I want to say, there is 4 or 5 months that we do not use the river stage. So within that time, we'll be able to do these projects.
So basically, are you talking about the sketch?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, we have these.
That's the site plan. This morning I did a real quick sketch
He's got a pen sketch somewhere.
for Sid.
Oh.
I told him it's not for public consumption, but it's somewhere.
Oh, but then you're going to show it to us now.
The short answer is yes, because we've been envisioning some improvements for that.
Oh,
So
because
basically,
that-
if you remember right now, there's an empty plaza or an empty
Right.
field right here that right now has some old tennis courts that are not being used. So what we envisioned was, we talked about parking. Right now, everybody parks, in the big parking lots over here and in the neighborhood over here and wherever, and they all walk and come down this to the ticketing area here. What we talked about was creating a new entry. Everybody's walking this way, so basically everybody would walk to Avenue A. There would be a new ticketing building here where you could buy tickets and have an entry for the pool, an entry for the river stage. And the river stage would go along this long promenade, a covered arboretum or arbor. But the rest of that plaza, it doesn't really make sense to use that entire plaza just for the river stage entry.
Right.
The pool is in need of renovations as well and additions. So what I'm envisioning here is maybe adding another pool right here that would be for the older kids, have some more slides. You can see them on your drawing. There'd be some bigger slides on there, maybe a inflatable climbing structure in the middle, something that the bigger kids can enjoy. But basically, that you'd have an entry for the pool here, an entry for the river stage here, ticketing here. Everybody would be coming, from their parking, migrating that way. And that way, you can, even if you have two events going on at the same time, they can use both. But that would give them a pool area for some additional area for the pool, which I have not even begun to look at the design or the pricing on that one. That's just kind of a concept thing. But then the river stage, again, like I said, you'd walk down this promenade, and then you'd have a plaza here where you'd have, like you said, vendors, a pavilion that can be rented if you want to watch the events from up here and have drinks or whatever. So a grand staircase that goes down to the, once you get to this level, everything's pretty flat. You can go down ADA accessible this way. But some stairs that would get you down and some ramps that would get you down to that level. So I think it all kind of flows together fairly nicely. It's just money.
So if you move the entrance by the pool there, would you not have the entrance on the right anymore?
We'd still have them both. And I said, I don't know if you want to address this. He talked about maybe one of them being a VIP entrance and one of them being typical, but that would give you two options to come in. Because some people would still, they're parking in the museum parking lot over here. Some people would still walk down this way.
Would it be feasible to put an entrance or just a small ticket gate on the left?
Up here?
Yes.
We've talked about that before, and I don't know if you've done it in the past or not. We were talking about parking out here. I mean, there is a big field here. You could do parking here and go under the bridge and create some kind of entry back here too. But I know that this lot over here is prime real estate. The city owns it, but I think there's bigger plans for that down the road. So I don't think they'd want to use that for parking. But yeah, there is a possibility to do ticketing here. But I mean, if you have a ticketing here already, I mean, you could create some kind of a path that goes across this way to that ticket area that kind of circumvents that other path. Yeah. Yeah, this is a parking lot right here that belongs to this business right here.
I know we used to go all the way down the stairs there off the street for the 4th of July concerts.
Yeah, the city could buy this and I guess tear it all down and have VIP parking or something.
Yeah.
We could also buy the museum, tear it down, and put a big parking lot there.
No. Oh, you are so forward-thinking now. Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that we get this to council to figure out how to fund this in conjunction with possibly the Parks Department, because I can tell you that pool is in need of renovation. It's all in the same area. I think it would work if they actually could get it together. And with the fact that the city wants to bring the main highway through, may get us even better venues. So that's my recommendation.
I love it. So we have a motion.
I'll second that with a comment. I do watch other meetings for other areas, and I do know they had some, I believe, sewerage issues, lift station issues out at the airport, and they found some funding outside of the airport fund. So I would say possibly tap into, or at least ask if that's a possibility. I mean, that's like you said, that's a significant number for just that. So if maybe we can get some help with that, maybe this whole vision comes together.
What about the downtown corporation? That may help too. I mean, there's a bunch of avenues, so.
Yeah, so I second that.
Get it started.
I second that with that recommendation to look. I know we can't discuss all the funding, but I would just suggest looking into some other avenues.
Do we have, then? Yes. So all those in favor?
I
guess we approved it.
You got lots of work.
All right, on to our Magnes Convention Center renovation. So we've been renovating the convention center since we've been shut down since the middle of November or the beginning of November. So far we've had the sewer line, tile, carpet and vinyl replacement, window tinting, and installment of security cameras. They're all complete. We're about to host our first event, opening back up for 2023, starting tomorrow, with Laura Bush Girl Power happening this weekend. We're working on a ceiling tile replacement to be complete. That's an in-house project that we're doing. Should be complete by tomorrow as well, per Becky. We're working on also painting multiple areas to match the wall vinyl. With changing out the vinyl, the color has kind of, and the LED lighting has messed with it a little bit. So we've already been working with city staff and Basic IDIQ so we can get quotes, estimates on on painting the main ballroom and other areas around that need some touching up as well. And we're working with Parks on and purchasing on the landscape project out here that's including the irrigation and tree planting. Parks has been already pulling up all the trees and bushes and shrubs and everything that we're trying to get rid of. They've already done that. I definitely appreciate Roger and Mario for everything they're doing with Parks and helping us out, taking the time to help us out. We just had a meeting yesterday involving purchasing to discuss moving this forward. In our last package, we did approve, I believe it's about $100,000 for irrigation for the convention center. We may have to ask for a little bit more funding for it, but we're looking into those. We're looking into those numbers right now, and I may be bringing that back to you all as well for the board. So this is from the left side. You can see this is when it was all torn up. Our convention center for some time. And then on the right side, this is the setup that we have in there. You'll definitely get a better look once after this meeting if you would like to go in there and view some of these things too as well. You can see how nice it is in the convention center now. This is the hallway as well. They recarpeted the hallway. They added actual vinyl actually on the walls in these areas too as well. When I talk about the paint, they're talking about repainting in these areas. All of that area so it can match the wall vinyl. This is one of the hallways. Well, this is opposite hallways now that I see it. So same thing here of the wall vinyl that they did do. We have the new flooring tile as well. It's very nice. Gives us a new look. One of the biggest differences that we do have is the tinting that's on the windows out here in our area and stuff. The tinting definitely changed the inside of here. If you notice beforehand, the wall vinyl was faded into colors that we now have. So I think that's why we decided to go with that green, because that's what the sun was doing to the wall previously. So, but no, it definitely looks great, you know, when we look at our facility, when we're walking around the venue now. Plus, it's going to help keep our building a lot more cooler than what it was beforehand, too, as well. Any questions on the renovations? And I'd like to thank the board, of course, for, you know, you all made a difference in being able to, for us to be able to have this job, you know, come to life for us. You're bringing it to city council and everything. So, you know, I appreciate our board for, you know, helping us out, moving that forward.
Okay, so we're ready to discuss the civic events fee schedule.
Right, so let's discuss a little bit. I'm gonna keep this very brief on the fee schedule because we will be having some other meetings moving forward and stuff. We met with the fee schedule in October. We met with the fee committee in October to review the fee schedule. At that meeting, we had Ms. Karen Abbott and Mr. Del Velasquez came to the meeting. Steve is also a part of that fee committee as well, so he's been up to date on everything that's going on with it. And we met in January with the finance division to be able to discuss some of the fees and what we're looking for. So currently, city staff, we're working on the actual cost of services and where we would like to potentially increase the fees at. One of the things, we have not increased our fees since, I believe, 2008, I want to say, that they haven't increased fees for. The only fee that we have increased is just our facility fee, and that facility fee went from $1.50 to $2, and we wiped away the nonprofit facility fee. So looking forward, you all know everything in America has increased in price, and with the changes and upgrades that we would like to do, we would need to increase our fees to be able to afford those changes. And I plan to bring this back to our board. Our next board meeting will be on February 23rd. And I plan to bring our fee schedule forward to you all, plus other items, and we'll discuss everything, and hopefully we can have a recommendation from you all at that point to move forward with. Any questions on the fee schedule?
Any future agenda items?
I do have one, and I know I've said it before, but I do truly, to keep interest in this board and to keep folks going, they changed the ordinance to cut this to quarterly meetings. And
Reading my mind.
right, and sorry if I
No,
if
no,
I
no.
jumped in, but I get it that we may not need one once a month. I understand that because you do have burnout and you do have, you don't want to have meetings just to have meetings, just to pull people in and it's lunchtime and I'm getting hungry. And so, you don't want to do it every month. But I do believe we need to take something to council to recommend that we have more meetings. I don't know if that's every other month but I think that's an agenda item we need to put on, vote on, and send it. But that's.
I think that moving forward with what we're doing right now with everything, we're going to have a couple more meetings because we just have a lot on our plate now with the river stage, renovations as well, fee schedule, policies as well that we'll be discussing. So I don't think that they're trying to take away and say, well, y'all can't just have 4. We can have an additional meeting as long as we have actual business to be discussed and stuff too as well. So, again, I plan on us having a board meeting in February, and then we'll potentially have another one. We'll probably skip March, and then we'll have another meeting in April. It just depends on what's on our plate and stuff. But to bring that back, we can have some type of discussion, or let me just have a discussion first with city staff with what you're talking about, and then we'll move forward on there. But again, we're going to have some outside meetings of not being in this room and walking to or doing walkthroughs at the River Stage, Coliseum, and all those meetings do not count towards the actual meetings that we have here. The actual 4 meetings that they set us up for. So, but
I
it
do
is.
have to agree with Steve because they're so far apart that I don't feel we're being very efficient.
Yes.
And it's very easy to lose track of where we left off.
Yes. And I definitely agree with that. I think we have more business now, though, to be able to discuss compared to what we did have in the past, because we were working on this river stage stuff for some time to be able to present to you all. It just takes some time. I don't want to come to you all. Some of these things we wait 3 weeks to get an answer for something. So to be able to set up a meeting and just tell you, yes, they just told us this, but we're waiting on this, I think that's a waste of time for us. But I do agree that we do need to have a little bit more discussions moving forward and stuff for our facilities and overall for the board. Especially with the new board members too as well. The new board members.
I'm not familiar with the ordinance in saying that there's only 4 meetings. Is there anything in that statement that says additional ones as needed? Because
Yes.
that makes.
And that's where I'm coming from. We do have, if I do need to have an additional meeting, let's say we have something happens at the Coliseum and we need to get some funding for it. Well, I do have we can call a meeting for that, bring it to our Civic Events Advisory Board before I bring it to our city council.
Okay.
So
That requires city manager approval.
city manager approval and stuff. And I believe we have used that before.
Okay.
I just can't think of what item it was for, but we have used it before.
Well, I'm sure everyone needs time to plan their schedule, just as you do. And you might remind our city manager, it makes it easier for us to all meet if we know when.
I agree. I see it from that side.
I know personally with me, knowing when, I like the monthly meeting because I want to apologize to the board too. My doctor changed my schedule and see, here I was, and had a 10 o'clock appointment, and I'm watching my clock and trying to get in. When I got in, I said, oh my God, I'm there. And I don't like to be late. So this would really help.
You're here. We appreciate the effort.
And that's one of the reasons why I also put our next board meeting for us, so everybody knows already. February 23rd
Yeah.
is our next meeting, and then
And that, my comment wasn't.
I wouldn't want to push like, okay, we're going to have a meeting June. I don't know what we'll have in June or where we'll be at with all these items and stuff.
I would just like to, and maybe that's a consensus, just have set dates. And if that's once a month, and then you call us or send an email and say, I don't have a lot, we're canceling. But I'd rather have it on the schedule monthly if we can.
We'll do.
Absolutely.
And not an agenda item, but I do want to thank the staff that you have and give recognition to the staff that you have. You just mentioned a couple people that retired. What that does is it now requires the staff that you still have, your existing staff, to step up and take on more. And Lori left, Becky took over. Dawn left, Becky's probably taking over that too. I mean, I know how it works. She's got big shoulders and strong shoulders back there, but I just want to thank the staff that you see behind the scenes, the setting up the chairs, the setting up, breaking down after events. It's unseen, and just want to give a thanks to those folks. They work so incredibly hard.
Thank you. I mean, we definitely are understaffed when you do have an event going on in the convention center, and then you also have the Coliseum. And if the River Stage kicks in the summer, it's very hard for us to be able to manage each one of them. But somehow, some way, we get it done. And you know that goes to just having a great staff that, you know, they do it with a smile on their face. That's all I ask for. Just make sure we do our work with a smile on our face and get it going. And I really have some of the greatest staff members and stuff. I can honestly say that. Besides Becky. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, and whenever you need volunteers, the chamber has a group that's a volunteer group that, I mean, I think they're putting together this stuff for the banquet. So they have a volunteer group, so if you ever need volunteers putting things together and stuff.
We may ask the board to come out and just volunteer too as well.
You could do that.
Once a month. No.
You can ask, as long as he comes.
I appreciate you all.
Well, thank you, Sid. Thank you, everybody. And no further business, then let's adjourn.